So today is the memorial of the death of Saint John the Baptist. One of my top favorite saints. He's just so cool. And I was at Mass, and I deliberately went to Mass by a particular priest that I like his preaching. He consistently is challenging and inspiring to me in his preaching. He preaches like a Dominican. As far as I know, he's not. I don't think he's a member of the priestly fraternities of St. Dominic, but he's not like a friar. But there's something about his personal charism that makes me think of the Dominicans. I once half-jokingly told someone, I was telling them about this priest and how I liked listening to him preach. And I said, if I was telling the story, we would either have it come out later in the book, that he was secretly a third order Dominican and nobody knew, or he almost became a Dominican friar before God called him to the diocesan priesthood, or something like that. But in any case, he just gave a very challenging sermon, as I expected, about just the need to admonish sinners, and to do it even though fearlessly. To do it fearlessly. Now, most of us, at least for the time being, aren't facing death threats for admonishing the people around us for sinful lifestyles. Because, of course, we know St. John the Baptist died because he admonished Herod for an invalid marriage. And anyone who's ever had to talk to anybody about the laws of the church concerning marriage, everyone knows that among Catholics and non-Catholics, it is a very touchy point. So many people, I suspect, leave the Catholic Church because they absolutely will not abide by God's laws concerning marriage and human sexuality. And that is what St. John the Baptist, the last and greatest of the preachers of the prophets, died for preaching against. But anyways, this priest that I was listening to today was just preaching on the need to do that, and how although we aren't necessarily facing death for admonishing people for their sins, we do face things like, what are they going to think of me? Is it going to ruin our friendship? Are things going to be weird at work? Am I going to get shunned by my coworkers? Are they going to start spreading rumors about me? Are they going to lie about me? Are they going to fire me? Or even just, are they going to think that I'm holier than thou? That's the worst, right? You definitely don't want to look like that person, right? Nobody wants to be that person that looks like they're holier than thou. There's women who won't wear prayer veils because they're afraid of looking holier than thou. I've talked to multiple women who have that issue. The fear of looking like a holier than thou person is keeping people from admonishing sinners. Whereas someone like St. John the Baptist was willing to flat out be executed, thrown in prison and executed for doing so. So shame on us. Anyways, I'm going back to this. I'm a third order Dominican, still a novice, but I'm called to preach. I'm supposed to be preaching. And it's kind of been weighing on me. I already mentioned this in the first video, weighing on me to try and maintain a YouTube channel, at least as a start. I suspect there's other things that are more important than this that God's going to lead me to do, but I feel like I need to get started doing something, so I'm going to try to do this. But one thing that has caused me to hesitate so much is that every time I would think about starting a YouTube channel in earnest, because I had one kind of for fun, but reviewing movies is totally different than trying to actually preach. But I would always hesitate because I just feel so much, I feel my imperfections. I'm very aware of, well, not all of them probably. There's probably a bunch I haven't even found yet, but I'm very aware of a lot of imperfections in myself. And I just start feeling like, why in the world would God want me preaching? Like, there's so many other better preachers out there that you could be listening to. I feel like the best thing I can do is to say, you know what? This is my preaching for the day. I'm going to go tell you to listen to somebody else. So that's actually what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to recommend somebody who I've been listening to a lot over the years, but also just lately. And that, if you haven't heard anything by this man, Father Chad Ripperger, he is an exorcist, but he does absolutely spectacular conferences. I think they've been consistently helpful to me and challenging and inspiring, and just, he's somebody who, as far as I can tell, he talks the talk and he walks the walk. And as he would tell you himself, and he does tell you in some of these conferences when he's giving these, is for a priest who, well, it's probably for any priest, but especially for a priest who is serving in the office as an exorcist, you have to walk the walk. It's not optional, because if you don't, rubbing up against the demonic in such a direct way, the devil will take you to the woodshed. I believe he actually used that phrase before. That they have to walk the walk, or they will just be completely destroyed. Their lives will get destroyed. So, yeah, as far as I can tell, it looks like he's doing exactly that. He knows it's serious, he takes it seriously, and he's part of a fraternity of priests who are also exorcists, if I understand that correctly. I don't know what it is, I'll have to look it up, but they have their own, prayers and stuff that they do together as a community, because they're taking their job seriously, which is exactly what we want. But he does conferences on all kinds of things. It's not just, his experiences as an exorcist. If you're interested in that, great, but he just does lots of conferences on just growing in holiness and the spiritual life. And those are areas that I really, really am realizing as time is going on, that, like, there is a wealth of information that all Catholics are supposed to have access to, and not just access to, but, like, we were supposed to be formed in these ideas on how to grow in holiness from childhood. And most of us have never even heard this stuff, let alone have received any kind of formation. And I know I definitely didn't get this stuff. I had like book learning catechesis, but this kind of like spiritual guidance of like what growth in the spiritual life looks like and how you accomplish it, I didn't get that. I mean, my parents couldn't give that to me. They didn't receive anything like that from their parents. Like, we're not in a position to be receiving that kind of formation. So, I mean, I count myself very blessed, and I am blessed to have gotten the catechesis, but there's a whole wealth of information that I need to grow in holiness that I just didn't have. But Father Ripperger has been great and very helpful, I think, in his conferences for giving those to people and guiding people through that. So I recommend Father Chad Ripperger's conferences. You can look that up anywhere on YouTube, but the place I usually go, because there's a whole bunch of them right there, is the channel Sensus Fidelium, Sensus Fidelium, Sensus Fidelium. And if you get on that channel and just search for Father Ripperger, you'll get a whole bunch of conferences. So that's my bit of preaching for the day, is I'm going to go point to a better preacher. So yes, St. John the Baptist, pray for us.